Amazing. Amazing. So, trying to do the question number 4. So, let's change topic. Let's say that in Italy, the dominant philosophic powerlifting school states that in order to program for powerlifting, you have to be well rooted to the weightlifting training methodology. So we just don't understand if they really believe to that or it's just a marketing thing. So we would like to know about you, from you, what do you think about that? If you think that principles for velocity and explosive sport can match for the needs of a pure strength sport.
Wow, I haven't heard that myth before. That's funny.
Surprise!
This is Italy.
Surprise!
You know, can you imagine telling weightlifters that they need to start doing like arched bench press, like powerlifters to become better weightlifters? They'll just look at you very confused. The thing is, in powerlifting, what is important is maximum intent to move. So whatever weight you have in your hands, push it as fast as you can, squat as fast as you can. That's cool. But that velocity ends up being very low because the force pushing back is so high, the actual speed of the movement is pretty slow. So if you look at it from the perspective of specificity, training fast is interesting, but when you do your 1 repetition max at a meet as a powerlifter, it's always going to be slow. So really, if you get used to lifting slower, you'll probably be better. What I like to cultivate in powerlifters, if I'm training them, is an excellent attention to technique and an excellent attention to balance, taking time, nice long pauses, presses that are on track, not getting off track. Too much emphasis on explosiveness results in things going kind of crazy and you can lose your balance and stuff like that. Do you want powerlifters to move as quickly as they can? Yes. But does that mean super high speed? No. Does putting 50% of the weight on the bar and moving really fast make you that much better at powerlifting? I wish it did.
This will be the next topic.
Oh, nice. So I wish it did, but unfortunately, it just makes you pretty good at moving fast with 50%. Nothing replaces heavy loading, which results in low velocities. And as far as weightlifting, I mean, are they doing snatches and clean and jerks to prepare powerlifters for competition? Is that front squats and stuff? That doesn't make a whole lot of sense. You train for the sport that you train for, I do Brazilian jiu-jitsu and I used to do wrestling. Did wrestling help me with jiu-jitsu? Yes. But ideally, I would have just done jiu-jitsu for 4 more years and it would have helped me even more. Just people will say stuff like wrestling makes a really great base for jiu-jitsu. Do you know what makes a better base? Just more jiu-jitsu. If you start doing jiu-jitsu, you beat every single wrestler that you'll run into. It's funny. There was a blue belt, which is just the 2nd rank in jiu-jitsu, who was one of the best wrestlers in America. And after he was done wrestling, he started competing in jiu-jitsu. And at the World Championships, he beat everybody until the last guy. And the last guy was like 17 years old or something and had been doing jiu-jitsu since he was like 4. And that guy beat him in like 30 seconds. He's just like, and that guy's like, what? 20 years of wrestling for nothing. It's like, you look at a good weightlifter and you think, man, he'd be a great powerlifter if he switched. Sure. But would he be a better powerlifter if he just trained powerlifting for longer? Andy Bolton, Ed Cohen, Dan Green, Kevin Oak, all these guys, they never weightlifted a single time in their life. Or they just weightlifted as a hobby for a few months and we're like, I don't know. The way to get good at something is to train specifically for that sport, and anything else outside of that is often a little bit of a digression and doesn't make you as good as you could be.
You mentioned the 50%.
Okay.
Let's talk about programming, in particular for powerlifting, but I think that the concepts are the same for training to get jacked in general.
Ah.
What do you think about, for example, a session where you have something like 10 sets of 5 reps with 50% of your squat or bench, for example? What kinds of adaptations could ever produce this workout? Would you call it junk volume in any context? Except you are injured, maybe. I
Maybe.
personally think that
We're interested about your opinion.
I personally think that it could be no sense even for an injured athlete. But tell us.
Sure. I tend to agree with you. So we can look at it in the following way. What is the use of very submaximal sets of 5? They can improve your technique, number one, and you know, we'll get to that. So very light sets of 5 can let you practice your technique, get a little better without a ton of fatigue. Okay, and then number 2, they can reduce fatigue because they're not heavy. So if you have 2 heavy workouts, Monday, Wednesday, Friday can be some sets of 5 that are very light. It can help you practice the technique more and recover you because it's so understimulative. Now here's the problem. 10 fucking sets of 5 erases all of that shit because you get so tired your technique starts to suck, and you get so tired that it doesn't even drop fatigue anymore. It's just a whole lot of way too easy training. Now, it will make you good at one thing, doing lots of submaximal sets of 5. So if you want to get good at that, you know, someone your dream crushes at the end of the gym and she's like, I knew he was going to be my husband when he was doing his 8th set of 5. Oh, a man that can do 10 sets of 5, my hero, you know? So that's, yeah, it's one of those where if it was 3 sets of 5, I'd be like, no, that 3 sets of submaximal 5, great way to manage fatigue, get a little bit more practice with the load. But 10 sets of 5, fucking A. 10 sets of 5 hard, it also doesn't work because that's way too much shit. Like 10 sets of hard 5, you know, RPE 8, my fucking God, you would die. And then 10 sets of 5, easy enough to do, it's just too much. So it's one of those, doesn't really belong in powerlifting.
Yeah. If the purpose of the session is just to recover, just do a few sets, like 2 or 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
So I want to ask you a question. What if I told you to do 20 or 30 sets of 2 repetitions for a bench press in one day? What would you think about that in a powerlifting program? What would
2 or 3 or 4 repetitions?
4, doesn't matter, but 20 or 30 sets. What could be my goal if I give you to do this thing? I mean,
Yeah.
we saw people doing this, and it's okay. But actually, we still cannot get what's the aim of this kind of protocol. So can you enlighten us?
Yeah. So I think the intention may be lots of practice specific to a rep range that develops strength. Open up any basic training book, buy the Scientific Principles of Strength Training on the RP website. It'll say sets of 2, 3, 4, and 5 are great for what's called basic strength development. And then you think to yourself, you know, if 6 sets make me good, 10 sets can make me great. 30 sets will make me fucking God. I will just, a tornado will form around Rome and all the sculptures I'll be in the middle like this. So maybe, but in sport, there's a concept called distributed practice, where it turns out after a certain amount of time or effort, your body's ability to learn and adapt in one session really starts to fall off. So in sports that are technical, like tennis, golf, jiu-jitsu, it's shown that after about 1 to 2 hours of practice, you're not really learning anything. You're just tired, right? And it varies sport by sport. But in powerlifting and in strength training, after about per exercise and really per movement pattern and muscle group, after at most 5 to 10 hard working sets, and if you get stronger, it's more like 3 to 6 in a session, you're not accomplishing anything other than junk volume. I think the idea of 20 to 30 sets of 3 is great, but instead of doing it in one session, do it in 5 sessions, spread it out. 5 sessions of 6 sets of 3 every time. That's almost like Shako programming. And it works really well because it's tons of practice over the week on heavy lifts that are really sport specific. All at the same time, what is it that you're really doing after set number 10? Your brain's not learning anything. Your body's not learning anything. You're tired. Worse, your technique, you can start to become careless. You guys ever had a workout in which you at first you really give a shit about technique, but an hour later you just want to get the fuck out of there? You're just doing whatever. If you notice someone who's on their 20th set of squats, their squat technique might suck. And also they're so tired, they're not even doing heavy weight anymore. It's not just that they're not getting much out of it. It's that they're maybe learning bad technique. Because anytime you practice a technique, your brain doesn't know if it's the right technique or the wrong technique. If you practice it wrong, you learn it wrong, and then you have to unlearn it later. So real bad idea, I think.
Yeah. The next question is just about the duration of the workouts. Here in Italy, there are some coaches who almost enhance the duration of the training session as if it were directly proportional to the results you want to achieve. We talk about training sessions of up to 4 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, arguing that such a duration of single session is essential to train in a serious way. For us, is just insane. But please tell us what do you think about?
Very similar answer to the last one. The quality of the training is always the most important, and the quality will degrade after a certain time. And you can actually tell when it degrades when your bar velocity is relatively low, when the amount of weight you can do for reps has to come down a lot because you're tired. You're just not really training for strength anymore or explosiveness or anything like that. So for most people, after about 2 hours of hard training, not much good happens anymore. Now, what's the solution? Is it really true that more training isn't better? More training is better if you can recover, but the way to train more is more sessions. So Olympic weightlifters will often train 9 or 12 times per week, but that's split over multiple sessions per day and 6 days a week. High quality sessions that are very short. That's the real way to get gains if you want super gains. The problem is nobody fucking wants to come to the gym that many times. So they get to the gym and they say, I want to be tough, and they stay there for a long time. And it doesn't do them a whole lot of good because it's a lot of what we call junk volume. It makes you feel hardcore. You can you could say on Instagram, hey, I was at the gym for 3.5 hours today, and people message you and they're like, wow, you're so tough. I wonder how big your dick is. And you're like, it's bits base, 3.5 hours big. And you're like, wow, let's have sex. And then you're having sex all the time with beautiful men and women. It's love for everyone.
No. I think the solution of split the session, for example, big muscles in the morning, chest and back, for example, and doing PM session with small muscles, biceps, delts, triceps, and so on, is a good solution. I'm adopting this solution now, and I feel so great.